Hello again, guys, and welcome to another episode of the BroKast podcast. My name is Thomas, and sitting with me, as always, he's my bro, and he's your bro too. Give it up for Alan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the BroKast. It is your boys from the land down under, Thom and Alan of the BroKast. How are you all? Thom, how are you?
Bro, I'm going good. It's been a very busy day. We have seen each other quite a lot today. We went to the rugby, my first ever live rugby game, and I must say it was a great experience. And thanks for the invitation.
You're very welcome. I love the game of rugby. I've been watching it since I was very young. And yes, it's understandable. Down here in Australia, we have Aussie rules football. It's the game of games. Everyone knows who. If you didn't play footy growing up, there was something wrong with you. Yes, we both played it, but I just find rugby a lot more interesting, a lot more entertaining, and me personally, I think it's just a grand game, and I'm very glad that everyone had a good time when we went out to the game today. If you've seen our X or Twitter, if you saw that great photo that you posted up today, we looked like a couple of madmen at the game. It looked like a really good time, and we did have a really good time.
Mm. I think it just blew my mind, like how rough the sport is, and like coming from a person that played like Aussie rules football for like 15 years when I was younger, to see rugby with these big burly dudes just slamming together and just seeing like heads bounce off each other and just massive tackles. And I'm like, there's no padding. There's
Nope.
absolutely no padding. Like some people might be wearing their head guard, but no one's got shoulder pads. No one's
Nope.
got anything on their head.
Hmm.
And I'm saying to you how big the dudes are, like physically, like just walking past. I'm like, they're like professional wrestlers, just
Yes.
jacked up dudes. Yeah, massive.
Well, speaking when you say like pro wrestling, former wrestlers, Rich Holland,
Ah, yeah.
who's in the WWE, is a
Mm.
former rugby player. So
Ah,
you look at
nice.
this. So you look at that amount of a man, how big he is, and
Mm.
then you can understand. One time he was playing rugby when he was in school and when he left school before he got into professional wrestling. And yes, most of those dudes that you see that we saw on the ground today are big gentlemen,
Mm.
and they can go really, really hard. Also, too, is there's some of the women's league. Some of the women in that team, you might not think from afar. You think, oh yeah, there's not much about her. Some of the women are some of the
Mm.
strongest women that you've ever seen participate in that particular sport. Sometimes they even hit even harder than the men.
Mm.
And I've been to a few of those games just before. Then sometimes back in the day, they would have the women's match before the men's match, and now it's been mixed around this time. We're living in a day and age where that's happening, which is great. And some of the women's matches are sometimes more entertaining than the men's because again, it's a lot of hard hitting,
Mm.
but it's the pace of the game and the fastness and how you've got to do the experience of it. So definitely, I'm glad that this was the first time for you to actually
Mm.
to experience rugby at a eye to eye, face to face type of level. So I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, and that's what I think we said is how fast it is, the game, in terms of like content. Like it's just two, what, 40-minute halves, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, time to go home. And it was what, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's like, oh, the drinks haven't really set in for the audience, and off we go to the next thing. But are they mostly night games? How do they go? Do they get a bit rowdy?
It's the funniest thing about the game of rugby is that there is no rowdiness.
Mm.
Every game that I've ever been to, sometimes it's more the rowdiness of the cheer squad and how they
Uh,
can come up with some great songs and have a bit of fun. And you can sort of tell that by the end of the game, you're shaking hands with the person that you know who is going for the opposition. And then
mm,
you're having a good time with them. And then next minute you're down at the pub drinking and having a few beers with them. It's very different from Aussie rules football because
mm,
that's a game that everyone takes extremely serious. And you know, you could you could go to a game of Aussie rules football and you always have those particular people who take the game so serious. And when they take it serious and their team starts to lose, they start to drink and drink and drink and drink.
mm,
And next minute they get the cockeyed look and going, what you just say to me? You can't say that about my footy team. That's important to me. And next minute, this guy wants to fight you. My
mm,
experiences of going to rugby, you don't really see that. Majority of the time, as I'm saying this, we're going to a game, you'll see a lot of it's very family orientated. Yes, Aussie rules football have that, but unfortunately, sometimes that's where a lot of people go to these games and let the hair hang out and make
Mm,
fools of themselves. Where I see as rugby, there's a lot of people that want to let their hair hang out. Like when you're drinking with these are big men, and these are
mm.
people I'm actually talking about. So these people are actually like it could take a lot of drinking to actually get them quite buzzed. So that's how I know. And then also too, the food prepare portions there again, it was you can just walk down and you can get yourself a giant burger, chips, and
Mm.
a giant drink, and then go around the corner, get donuts, then go around another corner, get a massive hot dog. It just the portions of that is ridiculous and it's crazy. And oddly enough, it's super cheap, which is weird
Mm.
because the economy, how it is working these days, was basically going, oh, we've got to make a profit when we do these big game things.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing I notice is that it is a very cheap day out. Like for me
Mhm.
and my son to go cost less than $50, and we probably spent less than $50 on food. So it was only $100, and that's everyone feeding, everyone getting a drink, everyone
Yep.
getting something to eat. And I would definitely go back. The fan orientation was great. Like I've been to that stadium when they've had soccer, and
Yes.
soccer is very different.
Oh, yeah.
Soccer is very strong in terms of, well, this side of the field is this team, and if you barrack for the other team, you don't sit on this side. Like you cut the stadium in half, almost like red
Yep.
and blue. You're over here. And I've been at games where there's been flares in the crowd, and flares thrown into players when they're in the corner doing the corner kick. And there was nothing like that at this. It was very family oriented, and yeah, definitely keen to go again. But if you haven't checked out our Twitter, guys, you can see a nice selfie that we took of me just being in total shock of some of the massive tackles and hits that we've been seeing. I have noticed the chat has been lighting up, so thank you everyone who are actually tuning in. We've got Cage My IQ. Thank you guys. Thank you there, Bakley, turning in. We've also got Justin from Just in Time, Salu family. Thank you, Justin, for tuning in for this episode. Always have to give thanks to our tribal chief, the head of the table of the Bloodline Network. What's up, brothers? Thank you for joining us. And also, I think Cage has just put in Jordan of the Eagles used to be a rugby player before coming to America. So there you get this idea of people, moving different sports. Because we've actually had a few AFL players, I think, that have actually
Yes.
joined also the gridiron there in America with the National Football League.
That too, and also we've had some American players come
Mm.
over to join of the Aussie Rules Football. There is a gentleman who plays for believe it or not, I love how we name our teams down here in Australia. We have a team called Collingwood. It's named after a little portion, little regional state down here in Victoria, and it's also so they're known as the Collingwood Magpies. That's right. We named some of our teams after birds, and the bastard bird, that type of thing. During this time of the year now that we're coming up, will be swooping at people at random because you're too close to their nest, so you need to piss off. And
And really quickly, they could almost take your eye out. And I've
yeah, serious. Yeah.
seen news reports of people getting a magpie beak to the eye and losing their eye. And I remember
Hmm.
getting swooped when I was a kid, and I used to have one of those helmets, with like the metal thing sticking out the
Yeah.
top. So when they fly down, it knocks them back. But I have definitely heard that yes, it's dangerous. But you
It
do
is.
like that they actually we got an eagle, but now let's go magpie. It's like that's the most
Hmm.
annoying bird that we have. It's almost up there with the crow. Like that's you wake up to it every day, but the
Yes.
magpie you don't like him. You don't want him near you. You're just like, dude, just go away. Just leave us
Yes.
alone.
It is a bastard of a bird, and we have a American player who plays for the Collingwood
Mm.
Magpies. His name is Mason Cox, and
Yep.
he also has a podcast as well too. And he is quite entertaining, I must say. And
Nice.
he's also a good follow on X as well too.
Mm.
If you're looking for a bit of a laugh, and he's because he lives in Australia. He's actually adapted some of the Australian humor, which is you have to you got to survive down here having this particular type of dry self and self-absorbed type of behavior and attitude about yourself. You really got to look, if you're not making fun of yourself, you're going to make fun of your mate, but then you don't go too hard on your mate. You're going to go hard on yourself. So that's how it works.
Well, that sounds like a typical episode of the BroKast. Yes, it put me down, not all the way down, but enough that I know that I'm down. So,
yeah, that's right. Don't get too comfortable.
In terms of how you can check us out, guys, you can listen to us, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, CastBox, Castro, and many more. So wherever you can get podcast apps, simply type in the BroKast, as it says on our banner, TheBrokast. We are everywhere, and we have been around for coming up to the end nearly of Season 7L. And to think it's been a busy year. So our season started in October of last year, changed the format a little bit, went from doing entire pay-per-views or SmackDowns or Raws and just sticking to a match or two. There's a lot going on in the world in terms of pop culture, entertainment, gaming, and wrestling. And we thought we only catch it once a month. Let's use this time to talk about everything and pack it into a nice hour-and-a-half show. And it's been great. I would say the numbers that I've seen for this season have been great. We've covered some interesting matches from the world of Heidenreich and Alabama Doink. We did their duo of matches, and they never got to do a trilogy.
They never got to do the rubber band, did they?
Yeah. No.
It's all right. We didn't miss out. We didn't get this. We didn't miss out, did we?
Well, I was going to say nothing could beat the first one. Like that first match was a classic. Who show me where they take wrestling onto the street? I like that. Let's stop real traffic. Let's make people beat the horn. Let's fight over in a garden. Let's smash up cars. And the second one was just a little bit of a cluster with the drone just flying over. And I think I did tell you, I sent you the link of the actual drone footage of that match. So you can go on YouTube and either watch the hand cam, the steady cam that was being done, or you can watch the drone camera, which is just bird's eye view for about 15 minutes. But yeah, we've covered some other great matches. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. Most recently, though, we've been doing quite a lot of TBK vaults. We've been putting them up. Our last episode was a TBK vault. We put up Walter versus Ilya Dragunov, the rubber match, actually, from NXT TakeOver 36. And that was a great pay-per-view all up and a great matchup. Any comments on that last EP?
I remember when we first did that, we watched that match in particular in that pay-per-view, and just how much of a hard-hitting match that was, and just real. And I had never watched it before, and we were both thinking, yep, Walter's got this. He's smashing this shit out of Dragunov, and then next minute, he gets the 1, 2, 3. And I remember you hear it on the show, you and I go, holy shit. He just got the win. We did not expect that. And there was a massive cheer. It was good match. And the TBK vaults are always fun to go back and listen to. Especially because I'm again, I don't really go back and listen to the show. Sometimes I'll go back and listen to like certain bits. And then some of the bits of the end if you guys stick around and you listen to the podcast version of this and you go back and listen to the TBK vaults, I don't even have any memory of most of these TBK vaults, and I don't know where you find them. And when you put them up, man, it's like, damn, son, where did that come from? Just some real random shit.
The random TBK moments where I've taken a soundbite, from like a random conversation. It's like, what were we even talking about, or what was that even from?
Where does that? And most of the time when I do go back and listen to it, I'll say to you, I'll write you a message and go, what the F was that from? What episode is this from? I don't even recall saying this nonsense, or remember you saying any type of silly of this nonsense. Where did this come from?
Well, I was going to say, this is actually episode 166. It's so we've done lots of episodes. And when it comes to matches, guys, a lot of the time we just, see what's in the current day and choose something. And I remember, what was it, last month or the month before? I think you chose a match and I'm like, bro, we did that. And you're like, oh, that's right. There's so much content that we've done. Sometimes I will go into the feed and go, oh, that's right, we covered that show. We covered Bad Blood 03. I'm like, oh, we did a whole watch along to that. Some of them just blend in because there's so much content. And in regards to content, guys, I want to actually name drop here the bloodlinenetwork.com. Now, I'm actually on their website. I went on here earlier today, and I'm going to list off, listen how many podcasts they've got on here, because Bloodline's growing so quickly. Like, to think of how they started with a core group and just to see how it's just developed now into so much content in terms of podcasting. So you've got the big dudes in the trenches. We've got Cage My IQ, Dome Field Advantage, Gaming with the Bloodline, which is also on Twitch, Get It Off Your Chest, which is Devon's new podcast. We've got Sandlot Dirt, Roto Slappers, the Casual In Experience, the Director's Cut, the Tim King Show, the Universal Wrestling Podcast, and also WrestleBread Podcast. Now, what's also great too is that not only is it wrestling, but if you go onto their website and go to the sports tab, they cover the Football League, the basketball, baseball, MMA, and they also do fantasy league and fantasy sports. And then on entertainment, they go deeper into movies and gaming. So if you really think for pop culture entertainment, like that's everything in one tight little package. Like everything is streamed from audio versions to video versions, and going on to Twitch, seeing what they do with Gaming with the Bloodline. Like JD's been doing things like The Last of Us and Jedi Survivor. And then Devon's doing Destiny, which I love. Like seeing him play Destiny 2 is making me just want to finish Destiny 1 so I can actually finally get into Destiny 2, because that game looks awesome. But if you haven't, guys, bloodlinenetwork.com, so much content. They also pull it up here too. They also do, their merch has just dropped as well. So again, in the States, it's your summertime. So many of you guys are getting ready to wear your singlet tops. For us, we're about to start rugging up. We're getting our colder winter time. I am thinking about going on and purchasing some possible summertime gear as we get closer towards November and December. But they also do lots of news articles, and they've also done a couple of best of. So I know Bray Wyatt was covered in one of the most recent posts where people can go in and write almost like journal storytelling, things that they love about their characters. So bloodlinenetwork.com, your one-stop shop. But we can't go any more forward without mentioning these two gentlemen here. And we're talking about Nick and Keith from the Universal Wrestling Podcast. Both dads, as I said last episode. We're the four horsemen in the Dads Club, Alan and I, Nick and Keith, and everything is going well. I've heard from them with their young family, and us with taking our boys to rugby. I think I would say our two boys were probably the loudest of the bunch today. For a few times we had audience members turning to look at us, and it's like, that's not us, that's the little ones, the ones that are screaming and kicking the chairs.
It's the cloned versions of ourselves, much younger versions from back in the day, that you and I were both doing that when we went to football with our father. But yeah, my I'm going to talk about it now. Yes, my voice sounds very different, guys. I was quite vocal as I was at the game today, and I think I might have stressed my voice. And then as we're in the middle of watching the game together today, I'm like, shit, man, we're going to podcast tonight, man. Shit. So, yes, I do sound a bit different. I apologize. I don't sound like my normal self, but the deeper voice makes me sound a little bit sexier, I think. So I'm going to go.
Well, I was going to say, I remember when that siren went and you let out one of those big screams. I'm like, he's just forgot that he's podcasting with me now. He's probably going to need a Coke or something like that, or some ice cream just to, slow that throat down. But I did notice when you first jumped on, I'm like, I hope he's not getting sick again, because I know when we covered Royal Rumble 98, you got gradually sick as that episode was being recorded, and the next thing you know, you got a positive COVID test. So, yeah.
Good times. No, not sick at all. Just a very stressed voice, throat, because your boy right here was making some noise and cheering on his team.
I was going to say, would you like a lozenge?
No, I don't want any lozenges from you.
Why?
Keep it in my pocket.
No, actually, I make my own. I've been doing a lot of that kind of make your own medicine recently. So, yeah.
What are you, fucking Walter White over there, are you?
No, I'm saving money. I can make my own milk as well. I'll try to make my own milk, make my own bread. So the milk's not working out. It's very clumpy. What are you doing?
Is that you milking? Turn the milk out there with the cats.
No,
getting
I'm
on, getting on the
I'm out there.
neighborhood cats.
No, I'm out there milking the soybean, just like that, making some soy milk like this. Do almonds as
Or
well.
4 o'clock in the morning, milking the almond.
Out there with a little torch on my head. Come on, come here, Dad. I'm thirsty. Come here.
Are you talking to the almond or the cat?
I don't know anymore.
Come here, Ginger. No. Come back.
I didn't mean to.
You're silly. Very silly.
Yeah. Well, on that note, thank you, Nick and Keith. You guys are great supports to us. We love you guys doing your stuff weekly. And just to know that we've got, two other American brothers that are standing with us in our podcasting journey. We owe a lot to you being able to, open your doors to stream us on the Universal Wrestling Podcast website and also on the UW Pod on YouTube. I'll just quickly jump back on the chat. We've had a couple of people join in. We've actually got Binbuster from the Director's Cut. How you doing, brothers? Thanks for tuning in, brother. We've also got, talking about Nick. Here he is. Here we go. What's good, boys?
Hello, 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 hello.
Oh, this one's for you from Devonell. Milking cats. do the action, Nell. Do the action.
It's what he does. He sees the cat and he picks it up and he goes, "Come here, baby." And he just, I don't know how you do. I've never milked a cat before. Just hold it like that. Yeah. Oh, you're a boy.
This was taking too long too.
I'm tired.
Just don't worry about it. I'll just have dry Weet-Bix. Don't worry about it.
I feel sorry for the people who, the Americans out there who are watching these random Australians on their channel. I feel for you guys like, what the hell have we got ourselves signed up to? You guys are starting your day nice and fresh. Happy Saturday morning to you all. And we're having our Saturday randomness. This is how Aussies get on Saturday nights,
Well, it ties back though, because they're having breakfast. They're probably having milk with their breakfast. So, yeah.
I feel sorry. Sorry. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us on this podcast and stream. Very, very appreciative.
Well, we've got a couple of topics. We've also had a change of direction with a few things that happened in the wrestling world within the last, would you say, 72 hours? And we're going to change some things up towards the end of this episode. But there's a couple of other wrestling events going on this week. What do you want to do first, El? I'll let you decide. Do you want to talk about what's happened recently, or do you want to talk about some other things we've got on our list?
Well, let's go with the positive stuff first. And I know this is a subject you would like to talk about, and that is the upcoming. Is that the AEW show that's coming up? Seems like you're quite keen. It seems like you're quite keen on it. So there it is, AEW All In. I think we spoke about this at the game today. I have no sort of interest in this. I don't even know what the card is. So we can have a discussion about this. I'm not actually, stop smiling. I'm not being a shit about this. I'd just like to have a discussion of what is going to happen on the show. I haven't been watching Rampage or Dynamite or Collision. I have no interest in it really, but let's just find out what's going to happen. What are your opinions about the upcoming show?
Well, I'll put the card up. We'll have a bit of a chat. But I was ready for you to say, look, you do that, Tom. I'm just going to grab my control. I've just got to do a couple of quests. I'm here. I'm just not going to be listening to you, and I might just turn and do a nod every few minutes, but I'm not really interested in what you're saying.
We're live, on to hear everyone. We're a live pal, so I'm not being that guy. I'm not being that little, shit bag of a man. I would like to talk about this subject, okay? Let's do it.
All right, let's do it out. We've got, looking at the card, there's 47 matches, though. Are you aware of that?
47, so we're going back to the original All In all those years ago when it went for 7 hours. Is that right?
Well, this is actually happening over a week. Did you know that? They've changed it.
Of course they have. Yeah, Tony Khan. That's how he works, right?
No, there isn't 47 matches. There's a total of 11. Okay. All right, let's kick it
Let's
off.
do
So
it.
the very first match is going to be something that they're calling, I think it's the 0 hour or something like that. It's like their version of a pre-show. So they're doing one pre-show match. Have you seen anything going on with MJF and Adam Cole recently?
I've seen their entrance together,
Mm,
and that was a few weeks ago where MJ's like, "You're playing the wrong song. You're playing my song again," and then they mashed their song together, Adam Cole and MJF's song, and that part was fun. Anything after that, haven't really been getting into. So, but I know they're buds. They're a tag
mm.
team. So what are they doing?
So they have been teasing a potential turn on both sides of the coin. You know, it goes back to there's a scene where on one of the Dynamite shows where they embraced, and Adam Cole with his right hand, you know, patted on the back, almost in the backstabbing action, very similar to what he did to Roderick Strong at
Uh-huh.
NXT. So they're
Yep.
kind of planting that seed. The fans are really behind them as a team, but you have to know deep down that MJF is the devil. You know, he's the bad guy in this story. How
Hmm.
much can you really trust him? And they've teased things of like, you know, standing behind him, Adam Cole going for a kick, and then, oh, no, I wasn't going to kick you. You know, I was going to give you a hug. Or MJF was behind Cole to do something, turns around, oh, no, I wasn't going to hit you with a diamond ring. I was just, just putting it on and I'm here. So they're actually getting a shot at the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. And this stems from the fact that they lost a championship opportunity against the AEW Tag Team Champions, FTR. So Aussie Open. So they're a very good Aussie
Yes.
tag team. I have seen these guys regionally in Australia. So we're talking about Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher. So they're actually defending their titles against MJF Adam Cole in the opening match. What's a little background thing to this is that there's a team called the Kingdom. And the Kingdom was Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. And they were a Ring of Honor team. But they actually used to be partners with Adam Cole in ROH. Roderick Strong doesn't trust MJF and
Hmm.
wants Adam to choose him. But now the
Hmm.
Kingdom is saying, no, Roderick, you come with us and let's just observe what's going on here. Planting this seed that they might come in and attack Cole or they might attack somebody else. So I see them
Hmm.
getting involved in this match. But do you have any input or any ideas based on what you've learned so far?
The Australian team that you're talking about, I've only
Mm,
purely seen their stuff in New Japan, and some of their stuff they were doing over there was fantastic. I think even at one time, I think they were part of maybe like a quick stint at NXT, and that's all I've really seen of them. It does sound like a quite a you know, two polarizing men teaming up, like back in the day of Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin, or the Rock
mm,
and Sock connection, and they're two different personalities from each other. And next minute they put them in a tag team and they actually work well as a tag team. And so this is for the tag titles on 0 hour. So basically,
mm.
isn't that I believe that 0 hour was like is like you get the taste. It was like
Yeah.
back in the day, like the pre-shows
It's like a
when
version of Heat where it doesn't cost anything to watch it, but it's the hour to promote the show. Here's a match and
Mhm.
here's all the promos. Here's everything about the card to get you to then stay on and then buy the pay-per-view next minute it starts. Yeah.
Yep, yep, okay. Well,
I'll
who
just
do you
open up
see?
the chat too because we've had some
Yep,
people put some comments in there
let's hear it.
about that. So Cage My Q has said, do you usually wait until the evening time there to watch Dynamite since it comes on in the morning for you? I work from home on Thursdays where I can watch it, but because I watch it on Fight, I can pause it and then like leave it for an hour and then like say I had a meeting or something, I could come back and then like fast forward through anything I didn't care for. So I can watch it on a tape delay, or I can just leave it and then wait till nighttime. But have you watched it on Fight, or do you use KO or anything like that?
I'm not home to watch it. I'm
Ah,
normally when it's on during the day. I'm out for the
mm,
majority of the day, and I don't really have really that time when I come home to sit down and watch wrestling until much later on in the day. And most of the time, I'm
mm,
just happy to game.
yeah. We got the Faction Cast podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We've got Justin saying AEW has done a great job making you guess who was going to turn on who, and I do love that. It's very, very cool. KJQ, Aussie Open is a fun tag team, especially live. Yes, they are. They're very, very good. We've got Courtney. Thank you for tuning in. Bloodline. Good morning, Aussie brothers. Oh, look out. It's Tim King. Tim King from the Tim King Show. What's good, brothers? Thank you for tuning in. It's going to be a good matchup. I would say it wouldn't make sense for them to win the tag belts, because they're going to have a big matchup. So it really wouldn't make sense for them to win. But I see Kingdom coming out and distracting them, having them take a loss, and then maybe in the frustration of losing, there might be a push or shove to kind of go, yep, now it's personal now when we get to the main event. But I'm going to say Aussie Open will keep their tag team belts.
So, sorry to interrupt. So MJF and Animal Cole are doing double duty that night.
Yes, which feels very similar to kind of like, Seth Rollins and Strowman, defending the world tag belts and then facing off in the main event, at that other time. Very similar to that. Yep. Okay, so they've actually got another match on the pre-show, which is Jack Perry taking on Hook. Now, this is for the FTW title. So as we know, Jack Perry turned heel. I believe it was at Forbidden Door 2 after not winning the IWGP title, turned on Hook, and then went on to beat him, actually, for the FTW title. And did you see that RVD made his AEW debut?
He did. And did he get a win over Jungle Jack?
He didn't get a win. He challenged him for the title, but Jack Perry retained. But Van Dam has signed on to possibly do some more appearances as well.
Cool.
So who you got here? Hook or Perry?
I'm probably going to have to go Jungle Jack Perry. He's the heel. He if it is for the FTW Championship, they want to continue that feud going. So, and Hook, from what the stuff I've seen online, he's quite an amazing wrestler and what he can do. So, yeah, but I've got the heel winning that one.
Great. This is probably, I would say, one of my most anticipated. It's also a trilogy in terms of an AEW trilogy. So we've got FTR defending the AEW World Tag Team Championship against possibly one of the greatest tag teams that I've seen live, up there with the Briscoes, and I'm talking about the Young Bucks. So Young Bucks, FTR 3, and yeah, I was thinking, if this was a two-nighter show, this would have been the main event on one of those nights, because the way they're billing it, it's like, this is it, rubber match, 1-1, someone's got to get that too. So who do you think on this one?
FTR all day. Like I said, I've got no time for the Bucks. So yeah, those boys, they just hopefully was it Dash? They got in a little bit of trouble the other week with the
Dax with the gun thing. Yeah.
Be careful, lad. Don't guns are dangerous.
And there's been so many memes. Like there was a thing where they did a sit-down interview with both tag teams, and people photoshopping an AK in his hand, and it's like, okay, that's enough. All the people saying, yep, Arn Anderson, he listens to Arn Anderson with the whole Glock thing. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, well, that's getting out of hand.
Both of them call Arn Anderson on Twitter, or X, sorry, Dad. They consider him a father figure. So when he said to Cody, when he gets pulled out of the car, he picks up the Glock and he shoots the person who's trying to steal his car. He just leaves a mess on the ground. Yeah, Arn Anderson knows what he's talking about when it comes to guns. You do not
so
mess.
Weird. That's such a weird promo that was. Yeah,
it's fantastic. It was so good.
So you say FTR to keep the belts?
FTR all day.
We've actually got Justin has just put in the chat there. Definitely feels like the Bucks are going to get the championships because of the whole recent arrest of Cash. Oh yeah, so there might be a potential. What is it? He might get some time off or a suspension. I'm not sure. I remember it was really quick. Like people were like, oh, will this affect his visa? Being able to go to London if he does have a court date or anything set. But it seems like it's still happening. But yeah, I'll say FTR because I like them as tag team champs. I think we're eventually going to get the whole FTR Punk Kenny Bucks thing in the future. So I think it will be good to see them as tag champs with, Punk as potential, champion as well.
Yep.
This is the only women's match on the card, I believe. So this is a fatal four-way for the Women's AEW World Championship. So we got Hikaru Shida defending the championship against Aussie Tony Storm, Saraya, which is Paige, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
I got the champ for that one. She's going to retain the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a feeling because it's in London, they might go with Saraya.
Nah, champion to win. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Why? You don't like Paige winning?
Stop trying to egg me on. I know what you're doing. What? No, don't. Piss off. Just move on.
But honestly, though, I thought you would actually pick Saraya because it's a whole London crowd, and I think she'll get a pop anyway. I think she'll get cheered when she comes out.
Hello, here comes a fellow Britain person. Hello, I hope you win the title. Is that what we want to hear? Chimity. Is that what we want to hear?
No. I've taught my son you got to say Harry Potter and bottle of water. That's how you do it, like that.
A bottle of water and Harry Potter. We've got soccer and watch AEW and watch a lady win the championship belt. Yay!
The title, not championship belt. It's a title.
It's a belt.
Belts go on your waist still.
Yes. Sometimes on your shoulder.
Look out. All right, I'm going to say Saraya because I think that'll be good for a heel to get the championship. But I would say Shida hasn't had it long. So you don't want it to be transitional and be too quick.
Exactly.
But I just see Saraya.
She got it about, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yeah. In the last month, yes. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
All right, this is the match I think you're the most interested to see. I think you're very excited for it. It's the only coffin match on the card, but it's a coffin tag team matchup. As we've got, here it goes, it's Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage taking on, what is that Christian Cage? That's not the card, is it? I thought it was AR Fox. Is he not wrestling now? Why is that? No, it must be. Taking on Darby Allin and Sting. Yeah.
So it's a coffin match.
Yes.
Cool.
But you actually have to build this one. It's a builder coffin. It's not, you don't have to put him in. It's the first one to be able to build it. So
it's like tools down. What is this? Is it? Okay.
You've got 7 minutes on the clock. Oh no. This was Darby's first time making a coffin. Will he get it done in time? And then they interview him. I was really stressed out. I've made a few coffins before, but never something this big.
Sting over there. I've had the support of Sting the whole time. He's in the corner, but he's always waiting there to help me out, just like a good father. Yes, I'm very grateful for Sting being my father. And then Christian comes over. Do you have a father? Is he dead? Good. I'm gonna make shit out of it. I'm gonna make you feel uncomfortable. I'm gonna make everyone feel uncomfortable about your dead daddy, and then I'm gonna make jokes about it, and then I'll become a meme.
Well, looking in the chat, a lot of people are also agreeing with you with the whole Shida thing too. I've noticed. Look, Shida wins. Wouldn't make sense to put it on Tony so soon. Saraya doesn't wrestle enough to put it on her, and just no to Britt. Yep. In terms of why AR Fox, there you go. See, AR Fox was fired by Swerve on Dynamite and replaced with Christian. See, I didn't even see that. So there you go. So people are all saying it here. He got fired from it, which is why Christian's on it. Because I realized Christian wasn't on the card. So there you go.
Thank you very much
for
informing us on that Thom should have been doing his research for, and he never did.
You could have helped me. You could have had a look too.
It's AEW, bro. I ain't doing that.
You're like, I am not pushing on my keyboard AEW. No, not doing it.
Not happening.
I'm going to say Darby and Sting to get the coffin match win. Next matchup, 6-man tag team action, the Golden Elite. Are you aware of the Golden Elite?
I am indeed.
We've got Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Adam Hangman Page takes on Kateshita. I can't say it now.
Kateshita.
Yeah, I think it's the Aussie guys. I can't talk. And Bullet Club Gold, which is Juice Robinson and Jay White.
Jay White. This is purely just New Japan, and with a little sprinkle of Americana on it. So yeah, that should be a good match. It basically it's just Kenny and his very close friend going out on the night of town with a cowboy and to kick some butt and take names. So yeah, that should be a good match. Yeah, who have you got for that one?
Who takes the pin? Who gets the win and who takes the pin?
Juice. Juice gets the pin, and it's probably like a V trigger into a one-winged angel. That it looks fucked up, but it's gonna look beautiful because Juice knows how to sell.
Yeah. And I would say he's a very meme-worthy too. Like, there's so many things about him and how he's acting. And he actually used to be a WWE talent on NXT.
Yes, he was.
I remember watching one of his matches. I actually believe he was Kevin Owens' first opponent when he actually debuted. It was either Kevin Owens or Samoa Joe, but I think it was Kevin Owens. His first opponent was Juice Robinson, which was a whole different name. He didn't even know. It wasn't even Juice then. It was some other character name. He had like long dreads. It was real kind of hippie character. So I'm going to take the actual heels. I think that Kenny, for me, Kenny would be pinned. I think the story that they're telling is to continue the whole Don Callis thing. But I do think big audience, though, 50,000, 450,000 people that'll be there because all of London's going. Like, the whole world is coming to Wembley Stadium. They'll cheer, if Omega gets a big win. So, yeah.
Are you really under the impression that entire arena is going to be full?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going there soon, actually.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Why?
I don't. I see the arena not being full particularly when you say that. I don't see it, and when you say that, we've seen it all before on X, guys. All the camera shots between the hard cam is very depressing, where you just see great shots in front, and then then the people sitting in front of the hard cam with their phones, and you just see what's going on behind the hard cam. It's like, yeesh. I can see that happening at Wembley.
What, you reckon they're going to tarp off, 3/4 of the stadium and just have a small audience? Well, look at all the people in this sellout.
Yep, pretty much. We couldn't do it down here in Australia. So I don't know if Europe will do the same thing.
Well, you think how many shows like WWE have done there, like since SummerSlam '92, like so many Raws and SmackDowns and pay-per-views, and we can't forget Capital Carnage and No Mercy and those shows there. And thank you, Jackie, and respectfully, we thank you, Timmy White as the referee, or it might have been Jack Doan, I don't remember.
It was Sable
and Sable and everyone involved. Yes,
fantastic show. All the perverts out
what
there
was it called? What was that?
All the perverts know what we're talking about. If you grew up and if you were watching wrestling in 1998 and you got Capital Carnage, Capital Carnage, and you watched that pay-per-view, and there was during a Mark Mero match, and you all know what I'm talking about. And if you had on VHS, it was always that it always got really pixelated and weird, and kind of shoddy during that match. You all know what you did, you perverts. I'm looking right at the camera right now at all of you. Yeah.
Yes, we all like wrestling and everything. So, yes.
Wrestling's for everyone, right, Tom?
Mm-hmm. All right, next match, eh? What do we got?
Fucking dweeb.
Oh, look out, we got Stadium Stampede, which I joked to you about today because we were sitting inside Amy Park, guys, which is, a nice size stadium. I reckon capacity probably, 30,000, 25, 30,000 they would get there. And I said, hey, Al, this arena would be awesome for a Stadium Stampede if Tony Khan ever brought AEW to Australia, because they have all that space so they could get the golf carts and all that stuff, and they could, tape it all over there. And you just looked at me and were like, no, that's not happening. And I'm like, it'll be really cool. So also Stadium Stampede mode is actually in AEW Fight Forever now, guys. And I haven't tried it yet because I've been streaming my CM Punk Road to the Elite, which you can check out on the BroKast on Twitch. I will be doing that. But this match is Stadium Stampede. Now, it was meant to be, I think it was 6-on-6, but it's become 5-on-5 because there's been a couple of injuries.
Yes.
So we've got Eddie Kingston, who's actually back in AEW. He went to ROH, did some stuff with New Japan for the G1 Climax, and now he's actually come back. So it's Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, who's the international champion, Best Friends, which is Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and also Penta, because I think Ray Phoenix is injured. And they're taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. So we got Moxley, Claudio, Yuta, and these two guys came back. We're talking about Santana and Ortiz. And they've actually joined the heels for this match.
Yes,
what do you think about this one?
It'll probably just be a cluster of violence. They're just going to mess up a stadium. Is it going to be like all the other Stampede matches where it's all filmed the night before and you just watch it on the screen while you go get a beer and some popcorn and go take a shit on the toilet? Probably will be.
Well, because that other one they did, which was like Anarchy in the Arena, that was live. Like that was like taped in the crowd with separate camera crews following them out the back, where these are predominantly done pre-taped, as you said. Like when they did it in Jacksonville and they had FTR and stuff and they had Sean Spears, and other times like the first one, which had Matt Hardy and things like that. And one of the Young Bucks just doing that suplex, from one end of the football stadium to the other. And the whole time I'm just cheering him on as he's doing it. I'm like, this is wrestling. This is what wrestling's meant to be. So,
yep, it's wrestling. Definitely. Yep, definitely.
So who did you choose?
Well, I saw the passion. I saw Eddie Kingston's voice and how he spoke on. He had an interview with Renee, who is John's wife, and then it was like, what did he say to her? He was just like, "Can you explain it to me? Can you explain it? Why? And she goes, "I can't. I don't know what to say." And he goes, and he pushed the mic away from her. Like he goes, "No, I don't want to talk about it." It's just like, "I need to know." He goes, "No," and you could just tell that she was just like, "I am reaping the bullshit that my husband is causing onto this company, and it is not fair." So you could tell. But again, Kingston is God. I see him. He gets on there. He speaks from the heart. He's a passionate man when it comes to wrestling. I saw his great stuff that he did when he won the championship belt over in New Japan. How incredibly humbled that he was. So in this match, probably the good guys will win, just to send everyone sort of home happy. So yeah, Kingston and his team.
Okay, I'm going to go the other way because I think one storyline that's coming out of this, and I like to kind of look at it and then do an overall, where are we going? Like, what roads are we opening? One of the things I was thinking was there's going to do a Mox and Cassidy feud. And thinking of how long Cassidy's been international champion, it's like, well, Moxley's never had that belt. Yes, it's like a secondary title, but maybe that'll be cool for him to win it and drag it around with him and chuck it in the ring like Stone Cold Steve Austin and pick it back up and pose with it. So I see Mox getting the win, beating Cassidy to set up an eventual match between them eventually down the road. I think it'll be, I don't want to say bloody, because that's what the Anarchy in the Arena is. It's like barbed wire and tacks and everything like that, and like blood and guts. Where this will be, I think, I don't know. I don't think it'll be pre-taped, but I think it'll be, you two go that way, you two go that way, and camera crews just follow. And it'll just be one of those entertainment spot matches, and it'll have some tie into the game, I think, as well, to promote the modes in the game as well. Okay, we've got 4 matches to go. This is a match that I'm really keen, and it actually just came out of nowhere in terms of the booking of it. And we're talking about Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho. What do you reckon?
This looks good, bruv. Anything that Will Ospreay does is fantastic. I don't know how Jericho is going to keep up with Mr. Will. It's going to be a barbaric match towards him. Again, I like Will Ospreay's wrestling. He can do some amazing stuff, that guy. Maybe Jericho of old, of maybe 1996, 1997, of the Lion Tamer Jericho, and Ospreay would have like some mega matches. It would have been great. Jericho again. It's just what happens with all of us now. You know you get older, and so I think it should be an interesting match. I don't know how far Jericho will go. He knows how to take punishment, which would be good because it would just be kind of fun to watch him get beat up. All the while, Ospreay's just screaming "bruv" towards him. So, yeah, I've got Ospreay for that one.
Mm. And I heard too that Fozzy is actually going to be performing. I think either Jericho's song. What are you doing there, cringing?
Here we go. Yeah,
They can't do
warded.
break the walls down.
Yeah, warded. No, you won't do that. But yeah, it's all Fozzy is a watered down Nickelback. That's all they are.
Oh my god! Shut the stream down. Shut it down. Turn
Yeah,
it
go
off.
on.
Everybody up.
Yeah, that's what they are. Who's better?
Yeah.
Nickelback is better than Fozzy. I've said it.
What about Creed though?
Creed is king. Creed is
look
always
at-
king. Yeah. But Nickelback is
Wow.
always king as well. That's this top tier, and there's Fozzy, just like bottom feeders. That's all they are.
Jesus, L.
The truth is in my life. That's it.
Well, I think it'll be good. I think I'm just noticing the chat there. Look at the Cage My IQ. Look at this photograph.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which Justin's saying here, Ospreay should win, but I'm feeling like it's going to be Jericho. This is cool. Did you watch this? I think you might have actually noted this. The contract signing, recent Dynamite, which was very personal. Some personal shots thrown, and definitely was a pretty cool thing to see. I think if Ospreay were to beat Jericho, as he said on that promo, within a span of less than 90 days, to have beat Okada, Omega, and Jericho, that's a pretty good number of ticks off the resume. But I think I see Jericho getting the win because he is, one of the greats. I think he's the main guy. He almost is the Hogan of AEW. He is the star. He is that character. He can work a heel. He can work a face. He can be in a faction. He can know have factions. But I see him getting the win. But again, it's in London. Like the crowd are going to be behind Ospreay, even though he's working a heel. Jericho's kind of working a face. They'll be pro him, but I'm going to say Jericho with the win.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Cage just put in the Ospreay and MJF's contracts are up on the same day, on June 1st, 2024. So, look out, NWA. Yeah.
Okay.
MLW?
No.
I was going to say XPW, but let's not say anything about them.
No. Let's not do that. No.
Yeah. All right. Next match. Now, this is the singles match for the real World's Championship. We've got CM Punk defending that title against Samoa Joe, who is the Ring of Honor World TV Champion.
Okay, cool. They're going right. They're going old school with this one here. Bit of CM Punk and Samoa Joe definitely from the old days of ROH. It could be a good match. We did see this match on Collision many moons ago, and so I don't see Joe winning the heavyweight champion, the real championship. Phil will probably get the win and get the W, and then go online, or then you'll hear a report about him that Joe was a little bit too rough, and then next to me, that Joe will be off Collision and he'll be moved over to the other shows, and soon the Collision show will be called just the CM Punk show, where he'll just have the entire show to himself, because everyone's just a little too rough with old Phil. Yeah.
Yes, I think he's building up a bit of a list of people that he either doesn't want to work with or they don't want to work with him. So, yeah, it'll just end up being CM Punk at FTR, just on Collision. That's it. I'll wrestle you, Dax. Next week I'll wrestle Cash, and then next week Cash, you wrestle Dax. There's 3 weeks of tapings right there.
Now they'll probably have a 6-man tag against the invisible tag team, just like the old days where when the some of Jim Cornette's favorite shit is the man who fights the invisible man in the ring. Or the invisible person.
Was that GCW? Yeah.
Some of the silliest shit on the planet. Just watching a grown-ass man flip around and start wrestling shadow wrestling, not shadow boxing, shadow wrestling against an invisible person. So,
What did I watch the other day? I watched some Pro Wrestling Gorilla with Justin Liger doing the what was it? It was like I think it was the Cha 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 dance or something like that in the middle of like a 10-man tag. I think even like Ciampa was in the match or Ricochet or something like that. It was just a real cluster of like talent from PWG.
No, this is I know exactly what you're talking about. This is the thumb spot where the thumb spot was up the bum, and everyone got controlled.
And there's like a lot of slow motion punching and getting the move like that. Yeah,
silliness.
Nice.
Wrestling's for everyone, guys.
It's entertainment.
Thom puts on his AEW hat. Wrestling's for everyone.
The big, massive hat just chunk down like that. Yeah. All right, I'm going to say CM Punk for the win. I think Punk won the last matchup, which you said was the Owen Hart Cup to get to the final spot. I see Punk winning it. I think we're going to get eventually Punk MJF in a champion for champion matchup. I don't know how quickly they're going to do it. Is November too early? That's full gear. Do they wait till Revolution and go towards March? But I would say CM Punk gets the win. 6-man tag for the AEW World Trios Championship. We have House of Black, which is Malachi, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, taking on the Acclaimed and the returning Billy Gunn.
Yeah, supposedly this is meant to be Mr. Gunn's last match. Supposedly, is that true? Or
I haven't seen anything about it, but I would think it probably would be. Yeah,
because he did do that thing a while ago at the last. It was just a show. I think I remember seeing it online that he took the boots off.
Yeah,
and when you see a veteran that is Mr. Gunn do that type of antics, that obviously means it's like, well, it's time to hang him up. He is the only active wrestler of D-Generation X that is still going today and is fit. The man is still looking after himself. House of Black have held onto those titles for quite a while. It would be a nice little send off for Billy to win the championship with his ass boys and get the win. So yeah, it would be kind of nice to see him get the win, and then maybe after that he holds the titles up, and then gives the titles to his fellow tag team, and then he jumps out. They get someone else to join the fray, and he rides up into the sunset and does what he does best behind the scenes and helps with the young talent.
Well, I think if you're going with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, that means that's the only match so far that you've chosen a title change. So I kind of agree with you that that's the match I think that'll also have a title change. I think it's something that, like, Billy Gunn's always been the manager of the Acclaimed when they were tag champs, but as a trio, they've never won the trios tag belts. Yep. So I think it would be cool to see that, but I really like House of Black. Like, I like the whole House of Black rules and their matches where they dim the lighting and they just go out there and destroy people. And what Brody King reminds me of someone like Luke Harper. Like, he's massive, but slams you with everything. Like, he's jumping off the top rope. He's doing cannonball flips, massive clotheslines. Like, he's a big dude. And then you got Buddy Matthews, man. Like, the guy gets jacked up more and more each week. Massive shoulders, massive traps, and also congrats to him and Rhea, who actually got engaged, I think. About 2 weeks ago, I think they posted something about that. And then you've got Malachi. I think he's a great heel. He's a great leader. He's a very quiet leader, which I think is really cool. So I want to see them keep the belts, but I think we're going to get Billy Gunn and the Acclaim take the win.
Cool.
We've got some comments here. We've got Justin saying the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn wins unless it's truly Billy's last match. Then the House of Black wins. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. That brings us to the main event, match number 11 for the AEW World Championship. The challenger, Adam Cole. The champion, MJF.
MJF to win this one. Adam Cole probably won't have a chance. How small he's a little smaller man he is. Yes, you just pick him up like that and you just put him on the microphone there. Yeah, do a little dance. Adam, go do it. Yeah, I don't see him winning. I
Mm.
did see a great tweet just yesterday, I believe, or maybe yeah, it was yesterday. MJF's mother is going to be at the show,
Wow. Okay.
and his response was "F off, mum, I don't need you."
Jesus.
So he lives his gimmick day in
Mm.
and day out. The devil. So I don't want to see any bullshit antics with some people in the back. Roderick Strong and the Kingdom getting involved. It's probably going to get involved with the tag team match. It probably will happen in this main event. I don't want to see it
Mm.
again. I'm not going to be watching it anyway. But I just hate the run-ins. Again, we
Yeah.
got that so much during the Bloodline storyline with the Usos or Solo and all that stuff. So um, let's just have a wrestling match. I know this, but doing them both, both
Mm.
Adam Cole and MJF, they can go. So it should be a good match.
Anything with the kingdom that I was telling you at the start?
As I just
Roderick
said to you,
Strong.
well,
Anything there?
I don't want them involved, but it will happen probably.
Well, it's interesting because literally a week after this show is All Out, which is actually back in the States. So I see a lot of these stories continuing and going onto that card. So I don't see the match being thrown out, but I definitely see something with the Kingdom and Roderick being involved will lead to either some tag match or something at All Out. Because that card's only like, I think, 2 or 3 matches deep. It's still being put together. I don't see them doing Punk MJF at that. I think they're going to wait for that. I see MJF winning the match. And even a thought I had, what if the Kingdom turn on Cole and they
Yeah,
sign with him? Like, what if they
yeah.
sign with MJF and then Roderick's the one trying to console Cole, but you got Taven and what is it, Bennett? They
Then
join, with MJF, and there's a bit of a twist there. And then you have some type of match at the pay per view where it's like a 6-man tag, and Cole and Roderick have to find a partner. And they can bring back Kyle O'Reilly. I hope they don't bring in Bobby Fish because he just needs to go over there and just stop
where's the
talking.
lie?
Yeah,
Where's the lie?
Jesus. Yep.
On your way, Mr. Fish. On your way.
So I'm going to say MJF, and I hope there's a heel turn with the Kingdom coming out and helping him get it. So that's the complete card. There's been no talks that I've seen of any massive surprises coming out or leaks. I think one of the things our brother was saying to us today is, do you think Edge will be there? Because there's talks of Edge leaving WWE, and I'm like, I don't think it'll be this. I think
Jay
if he,
Uso.
you reckon?
No. No.
Oh my
Dude,
God, he's here.
he's having some time off with the family. Did
Yeah.
you see what which one not Trinity
Naomi.
Naomi, sorry, yeah, she
Yeah.
posted up, but then she blurred the faces of a couple of Solo and Jimmy, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, kayfabe is alive, and then the photo was then resurfaced with their faces on there. It was like, and then it's like, we know they're brothers, we know they get along, but the stuff that's happening in the ring is not, it's really me, damn it. Okay, that's nice, but they're brothers. They're hanging out. They're having a good time. They're catching up with people. And for the life of me, I can't remember who I think Jimmy posted up a photo of one of his uncles. Who's a very similarity of Rikishi. And immediately everyone's like, oh, look at the new look on Rikishi. And it's like, that's not Rikishi. That's like Rikishi's, you know, brother, or it could be like a family friend. Everyone immediately was jumping on, like, look at Rikishi, got shaved his head. And it's like, it's not, you fools. Stop it. Yeah.
What do you think about Edge, though? Do you think he's AEW bound? And I'll say that because I just noticed that Cage has just put in the chat there, Edge's contract isn't up until the end of September. So do you think he is eventually bound for the company, or do you think his match with Sheamus was his last match?
He doesn't really need to go to AEW. I think he's a WWE lifer. He could be there he could do so much for the back. And then he could also just do what's best for him and look after himself and be there for his family. I I watched that match between Sheamus and Edge, and I got emotional at the end. I thought
It was great. It was
great,
terrific
match, so good. All the false finishes. If you've been watching wrestling as long as we have, it wasn't really there. You're like, oh, you knew he was going to kick out. Well, and then when it hits the spear, you're like, yeah, that's the coup de grace. That's how you end it. But yeah, it was a good match. So I don't see Edge coming to AEW. Do what you do best and stay with WWE and get that fat paycheck from Hunter and look after your family.
And I also kind of think, like, is he really needed in AEW?
No.
Like, do we need another X talent? I think visually it would be cool to see some dynamics of matches, but I really want to see the young talent, push them up. Like, I can see Edge, as you said, going backstage and being more of a mentor, supporting, maybe going into a producer role or something like that, or an agent, or putting stuff together. Because I do think his return has been great. Some classic matches. His stuff with Seth Rollins was really cool. His Roman Reigns Universal Championship match was really cool. Hell in the Cell against Finn. But I do feel like, as you said, yeah, it's time. Great run. I love the match against Sheamus, and I think AEW bound, I don't see it. So, no. Any closing comments on All In?
I can't wait not to watch it.
What did we do? A couple of months ago, we did a prediction, and what is it? I predicted the card, and then what did you write?
I don't care. Feel free to do that tomorrow or whenever you get a chance. Okay. Do it again. Just copy and paste that shit.
I don't care. Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much. Yep.
All right. So before we actually kick into the next part of the show, guys, we want to take a couple of minutes to give a shout out to two great wrestling podcasts that we support, and we hope you guys support them as well.
What's up, everybody? I am the hardest part of the ring, the host of the Apron Bump podcast. And I know what you're thinking. Ugh, another wrestling podcast? How many times can I listen to fans beat up on WWE and AEW? Tell me who needs a push, who doesn't need a push, who brings Vince's coffee these days. Enough! I'm just as sick of it as you are, and that's why I created the Apron Bump. The Apron Bump is about the journey. It's about nostalgia. It's about discovering new forms of wrestling to really tickle your pickle as a wrestling fan. It's about making wrestling fun again. The podcast brings you reviews of wrestling events all over the world, tying together over 6 different promotions spanning 4 different decades. And everything is chronologically in a timeline to really allow myself and all you listeners to live through these eras while having a good time doing it. Whether it's WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW. We even cover the golden eras of Ring of Honor, Progress, TNA, and more promotions in the future as well. New episodes every Wednesday, or as some may say, Bump Day. Yeah? Go to apronbump.com or go to your favorite podcast platform or YouTube and subscribe today for the most diverse, fan-friendly wrestling podcast in the world. I'm Hard.
Main Event Marks is a retro pro wrestling podcast hosted by 2 lifelong wrestling marks and walking wrestling encyclopedias, Troy and Greg. Every Wednesday, we do a breakdown and review from a fan's perspective on some of wrestling's biggest and most forgotten shows ever, along with the industry news from that time period, taking you back in history to when that event took place. Main Event Marks is available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Follow us on social media at @mainevent_marks.
All right, guys, we are back. And once again, shout out there to some great podcasts. We've been supporting them for quite some time. Get out there and follow them on Twitter and all their podcasting links. And thank you, Alan, for also reminding me that once again, I had left the banner at the bottom corner because I did that with the last show. And I'm like, I'm out. Shut it, stream down. Shut it down. I still haven't learned. So thank you.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but that's okay. You're very welcome.
Yes, we're just breaking the fourth wall, guys. My phone's here and he texts me. So I'm like, oh, shit, I can see AEW there. Damn it. So
it's okay. It's all good.
All right, couple of topics that we're going to talk about before we kind of finish up the show, probably within the next 30 minutes or so. It's actually quite late, and I can see Alan's nearly about to hit his microphone. He's about to fall forward and fall asleep.
No, I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm regenerized. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling okay. Let's keep going.
Well, this is something that ties into another thing that we're going to talk about, and we're talking about the new Star Wars TV show. I'm not a big TV show guy. I don't watch a lot of TV shows. I'm a movie guy. I rather sit down with popcorn or a couple of bags of popcorn and watch a movie. And this show, tell us, Al, is it started? How many episodes in are we? What are we looking at here?
What the fuck are you talking about? I like to get one popcorn and then I like to get another 7. Just line it up. Then randomly I put my penis in one, and then the missus has to pick which one it is in.
Quickly, because I'm really hurt here. The butt is warm. No, I'm out.
What do you go? You go for the coldest one. Never mind. I'm not having this conversation with you. It's fucking weird. Ahsoka. That's right, guys. Ahsoka is another Star Wars story. There with coming out of the brilliant mind of Dave Fillion, of who did the Clone Wars series. And we first were introduced into Ahsoka in the Clone Wars movie that came out many years ago. Ties into during the Clone Wars of Episode 3 of Star Wars. And now this is Ahsoka is focused on many years after the Clone Wars, during the Galactic Empire, and now it is, I believe, maybe 5 to 6 years after the Galactic Empire is stopped, but there's still pockets of Empire are still around. This also will tie. It has, I believe, it will tie into the Mandalorian series. So if you've watched the Mandalorian, it ties into that. Also, will tie in with Boba Fett, the Boba Fett TV series. It won't tie into the Obi-Wan Kenobi series because Kenobi happened at will pretty much picks up after Episode 3 and what happened between Episode 3 and Episode 4 of Star Wars. So 2 episodes are coming out now both on Disney of Ahsoka, and we're focusing on the characters that we've seen many times on the Rebel series. If you watch the Rebel series on Disney, another great show, animated show too, made by the same creator mind of the Clone Wars as well too. A band of ragtag of rebels get together and basically just go, we're against the Empire in our power, and we're going to do everything to stop it. And also, this show had a little bit of aspects of you could watch it with your kids and have a bit of a laugh, and then it got quite serious. And then some of the things would go over you, the kid you'd be watching with over the head sometimes, and you would look at it and go, damn, this is actually quite emotional. And the TV show was fantastic. Ended it on a very interesting note, or where you're like, what's going to happen now? Are we going to get any more episodes? And they stopped it. And this is when, after that, the TV shows like The Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Kenobi, all those other shows started to rise, and the cartoon shows besides the Bad Batch came into play. So, and then also to the last season of the Clone Wars, which is again a fantastic season. It explains everything of what went down during Episode 3, and that very last episode for 22 minutes is a roller coaster of emotions. You know what's happening if you've seen the films, if you've read the books, if you listen to the audio, if you even know the Star Wars lore. You know what's going to happen, but you don't want it to happen because it's such an emotional show. So with Ahsoka, that's currently on Disney now, is focusing on Ahsoka many years on. She's becoming she's the seasoned Jedi that she was. When we first saw her in the Clone Wars, she was a young woman, a young Padawan. Now that we see her now, she is the Jedi Master. And there is the storyline that we're seeing through here, that she is looking for a wayfinder to look for Grand Admiral Thorn. And if you know your Grand Admiral Thorn character, if you know from the Dark Horse comics from back in the day, he was like Vader's right-hand man. He was stuff that Vader wouldn't touch his hands with. Thorn was extremely happy to get his hands dirty and get the shit done. Pretty much all the jobs that Vader didn't want to get done, Thorn would do it for him. So at the end of the, pardon me, the Rebel series, we saw Thorn and Azria, who is the male character's character, drift away. We don't really know what happens next with them, but basically it's left with a door going. They know that Thorn's alive. Thorn's name was also recently brought up very, very quickly in the couple of last episodes of The Mandalorian, because they're trying to, I think they're trying to rewrite different ways in the stories, because everyone hated episodes, the last two, 8 and 9. They didn't really know what they were doing there. Too many writers things are happening. No one had an idea about it. So I think they're trying to rewrite it in a way of going, oh yeah, this is going to happen, but on the way, something more fun happens. So I don't really want to get too much into it into the show, because I don't want, if anyone's watching it, it's too much spoilers. But I would just like to say it looks fun. It is both episodes. The first episode was 55 minutes. Second episode was 44 minutes, and they were just fun. They were just you could tell. The Rosario Dawson, when I first saw her as Ahsoka, when she was in the episode of The Mandalorian, you had to double take and go, hang on, is it of all people to bring back in that Mandalorian series, Ahsoka? Really? You know, that she was at one time Anakin's Padawan. But again, because he went to the dark side, and again, there's a lot of stuff that went down during the Clone Wars series where she actually denounced the Jedi way and went and did her own thing. But one thing that's always brought a lot of joy to me, in the second episode, we did see the character of Chopper return. Now, I don't know if you're familiar, you don't know who Chopper is. Chopper is an astromedic droid, just like R2-D2. Also, Chopper, if you look in the ways of like what type of animals droids would be, I would say when you look at R2-D2, he is like a loyal dog. He was always by Luke's side. He was always by Anakin's side in the movies. You know, he was very loyal to them. Chopper is not a dog. Chopper is a cat. Chopper is an arsehole. And also known in the Star Wars lore as one of the biggest serial killers in all Star Wars lore.
Okay.
I think he has the highest ranking kill shot of over 1,000 people.
Good Lord.
This one little astromedic asshole droid, I think, wiped out an entire Star Destroyer. Everyone on board died. Yeah. So, and also too, if you go back and listen to the Star Wars episode that we did for Rogue One, Chopper, the droid, actually makes an appearance. I don't know if I actually did it out.
No, you haven't told me that one.
Yeah, Chopper is actually in the back, and there is quite a lot of into that movie ties in with a lot of the Rebel stuff, because there are certain ships in the background, there's certain things you hear in the background over the PA system when it's being called. Some of those characters are actually in that show, but to have Chopper return in this episode was fun, and they're just bringing back these characters. But also too, tying into gaming as well with Ahsoka, that she will soon be a possible playable skin in Fortnite.
Yeah. Well, really quick before we jump into Fortnite, with how Disney release TV shows, is it like, here's them all, watch them at your own leisure, or is it tune in each week? So here's episode 1, you wait, and then next week. Because I know some shows just go here, and they just give you all 5 episodes. And my wife is a binge watcher of shows, so she can watch an entire series in an afternoon. And then she's like, oh, and then she watches a series and goes, oh no, I have to wait till next week. Like, and I'm like, well, that's how shows usually work. It would be you have to tune in next Wednesday to see where it's at. So that's what I don't know. Is it like that, or is it here it is?
It's weekly. But
Okay.
we were very fortunate that they gave us not 1 but 2 episodes, which was fun. Yeah.
And you think too, like
Yeah.
combining what the minutes you said, that's almost a film just in those 2 episodes. It's almost what a good hour and a half, hour and 40-minute film. So
Also, some bit of sad news when watching it is too that Ray Stevenson is also in it, and then we'll know Ray Stevenson from, I mainly remember him from Dexter, but also he was in the Punisher War Journal movie a couple of years
Punisher
ago.
Warzone. Yeah.
Warzone. Sorry, and he portrayed Frank Castle, the Punisher. He is in the TV series. He plays sort of a dark Jedi, and after this show was finished, he passed away. And so it was beautiful. At the end of the first episode, it came up with a little disclaimer saying for our friend Ray, and that's how they ended it. It was beautiful, and it's great too, because we're going to see this character that he is playing in the show continue to be on here, even though he's not with us. We're going to watch the show, and then they spoke about it at one of the Star Wars get together during a couple of months ago, sorry, for Star Wars Day, and it turned into Star Wars Week, where they were releasing different things every day over in London, and they were talking about Ray's passing and how the cast were just like, we absolutely love this man. He did fantastic. We were actually he was actually at that thing at the actual show, and then a couple of weeks later he passed. You didn't even think he was sick. It just came all of a sudden, very suddenly. But yeah, it's worth a watch. If you're a Star Wars geek like myself, the only downfall was that my partner attempted to watch it with me and ended up falling asleep. So I'm like, hit the bricks, babe. Go get some sleep. I'm gonna go chill out and watch this show on my downtime. So yeah.
Well, nice. Well, maybe we're going to do a TBK live stream 3, guys, in a couple of months. So maybe we can do a bit of a season recap or season review when that actually occurs. As Alan said, this is linking into a current game that we both are playing, and we're talking about Fortnite. So last night was I would say a funny night for me, as my son sat up to all hours waiting for the servers to respond. He sat in a queue for ages. He's like, I'm in the queue. I've got 6 minutes. And then it's like got to 0 and it's like, server's not responding. And I'm like, son, it's not going to be ready. Like, you're going to have to wait until like 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, Dad's not going to play it. I won't touch it. I'm already streaming something else. I said, I won't be playing the game. So when you wake up, he woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, had the game all loaded up. By the time I came and saw him, he was 2 or 3 levels in. He already had leveled up. Oh, Dad, I've already bought this and I've got this now. And so just for this time, what did you think of Chapter 3? How did you go? Did you get the whole battle pass? Did you get the things you wanted? And then what's your views on the start of Chapter 4? So let's go Chapter 3. What were your views and what was your final level up number, if you remember?
This was a fun season. Introducing the jungle lands, the mud, the thermal weapons, all that good stuff. That was good. Having Optimus Prime in the game was kind of fun too. I sort of went off a little bit towards the end. After I had the battle pass and I went to level 100 and I got Optimus and I went, well, now I've completed it. I didn't really go over to the other skins in the game. I thought, wow, these are kind of cool, but Optimus was the one I was gunning for, and I'm like, I've completed it now. I can now put the controller down. Well, no, I could put the game down more than I could put the controller down. So I stopped playing for a bit, and I occasionally jump in. It's like, oh, is anything new in the store? No, okay, then jump back out. I played a little bit more of Call of Duty. And I was doing a lot more Warzone type of antics. and that was fun. That was kind of good, just jumping with a bunch of randoms and just having a bit of fun. I think I ended up playing the night before the reset and did the update for it, and I didn't stay up all hours of the night waiting for the service to be down. I did if you guys checked my streaming services out on TTV Roscoe Bosco, I did a couple of streams for some fallen wrestlers and which was kind of fun to do. But I think I ended up on 108, and that's as far as I got. I didn't need to go any further. I was like, I saw the Prime skin, and I thought, that's what I want now, and that's what I'm going to get, and then I don't need to get anything else. That was it. Yeah, what about yourself?
Well, I got to 203 was my thing. I don't know how I did it, and I did it without spending one V-Buck on trying to level up. We got the Transformers Prime, Optimus Prime, which would have been level 100. You would have first unlocked him. Yep. Battle Damaged, I think, was like page 2 or 3, I think, in the bonus rewards. But really, after my son got him, he was like, oh, I've got him. Like, he didn't really care for the other characters. And I didn't even know who they were as well. And then those new anime characters jumped in for the last fortnight or the last, and I'm like, oh, for the last 2 weeks, yeah, I'll do them. I'll try and play them and earn them. But again, I don't follow a lot of that anime content.
Yep.
But yeah, the season really didn't jump out for me. Like, the ruins was cool, as you said, the thermal weapons, the mud location. And then looking at this season, we've still got that. Like, that didn't leave. Yes, there's a whole heist theme to it, but we still have the ruins. We still have, all that stuff going on. I would say, to be able to, the grind was good, but to know that I didn't spend one bit of cash money to do it. Like, I went to 203, I think we were 207 or something like that we ended up, but we got everything we wanted, purchased everything. And I said to my son for this one, this is till October. Like, we don't have to rush this. Like, this is going to run until at least, second or third week of October. We've still got a while to go. Let's just ease ourselves in. And he's like, how much would it cost to level up 25 times? I'm like, we are not doing that. I'm not spending V-Bucks on it. We can grind it out and do it. I'll do submissions every so often. I'll quickly do the dailies. They're done in 10 minutes, jump out, play something else. But what's your views on Chapter 4? Have you had a turn, or what do you think so far?
I did one game last night, and I got a Victory Royale straight off the bat, and I put the controller down and went to bed. So I was quite pleased with myself with this first time, new season, new crown, booyah, in solos.
Oh, look out.
I got
in solos too.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with myself.
Oh, look out.
I was like, yeah. So this old dog still has a couple of tricks up his sleeves. There's some new. They brought back some of the older weapons, like the sniper rifles and the high caliber sniper rifles. And if you're as my wife calls, my partner calls me, a campy little bitch. So I'm in the bushes, and when I'm gaming in the bushes, I'm any little chance, bang! I'm just instant takedown. Like, I can't help myself, just done. They've introduced the high power sort of rocket boost, which is kind of fun for getting one from one end of the, because if you've seen it in the trailer as well too, that came out yesterday, you can jump from one end of the map to sort of like not all the way to another side, but it's quite far. It can boost you, which is kind of fun. Some of the skins in the past, I'm looking at it going, I have no interest in whatsoever, except two. Two have got my undivided attention. One is Ahsoka, of course. This is going to be, I believe it's going to be like a weekly challenge. That skin is not going to be available for another month, I believe. But our old boy Fish Sticks is in the game, and he is called Thick. I think it was
Thick Stick, I think.
Thick Stick, and it's Fish Sticks.
Or it's either thick stick, or it's either fish thick. I think it's fish thick.
Fish stick. And he is swole as a motherfucker. He is buffed up, and it actually is like sort of making fun of the people who are quite buff and doing that stuff. And because one of his backlinks on his back is a protein shake, one of those big drums that people get the drums at.
With
one of the
fish food
emotes
in it, I think. Yeah.
One of the emotes to it is he actually grabs it and then pops it, and as the lid comes off, fish food, like protein fish food, comes out, and he comes up and tries to bite it just like an actual fish. But the skins to him are truly remarkable. The colors, like it looks like, again, it's a singlet top, shorts, and just big old fish muscles. It looks fucking ridiculous. And I said to myself, I need that skin, and I'm going to put a love heart next to that skin. Any other skins in the pass, in that battle pass, like there's a vampire dude in it. Like there's two versions of him. One is sort of like the cool Dracula looking style, and then is the proper vampire bat look, like the I think they had a name for it. It was like the Metamorphosis or something. Or the Morpheus style.
I think he's the last one. I think that's level 100. That's the last thing on the normal Game Pass. Yeah.
My son saw that. He goes, I need that. I want that skin. So you're going to have to grind for it, boy, and you can get it. But any other than that, that's the two skins I'm gunning for. Nothing really different out of the game, really, except the little heist things. They're kind of fun. Just so many. I found it when you go to those places, the ammo is always there. You're even running through the game, you're picking up ammo, and then you're also dropping it because, again, you're just building up too much. But I think the season should be fun. We'll just see what's happening next.
It was weird that we didn't get an event as well. Like, there was nothing that we could have streamed together and like joined on and done something. There was just, here it is, bang, off you go. Like, there was no announcement of a quick event where you can earn some things, which I was like, a bit disappointed by. But yeah,
I think they like to do that almost like once or twice a year. So I think the big event that we should stream together is during the Halloween season. And Fortnite, when they do Halloween, they do it right and they do it scary. So it's just,
well, that's when I first joined it. The first time that we started playing, I think, was around late September, early October. And like, we were like not even halfway through the battle pass. We were still learning how to play it. So we got a few skins like the Evil Dead skin, and we got Ash and stuff like that. But I remember, the big cemetery with all the coffins and the battle bus being all done up in Halloween theme. But we're meant to be also getting a Transformers battle bus skin, I think, in October, I heard as well. So
I heard that as well too, and I was hoping we were going to get it this season, but didn't happen.
But no, it's good. I've enjoyed it. I'm trying to try some different other games out there that I'm trying to play that you can check out on our Twitch, which is just BroKast, and also Alan's he's streaming with TTV Roscoe Bosco 84. But I think that's all it for game talk there. Before we have one last thing to chat about on the show, we want to take this time to also give a shout out to two other great wrestling podcasts. Check these guys out.
Hey, it's Chris from Marking Out, the only online listening experience in the world. Join myself, Dave, and social media influencer Brandon as we release a weekly podcast that covers the world of professional wrestling. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on all major podcasting applications. Follow us on Twitter at Marking Out, and watch all of our great videos at youtube.com/markingout11. And as always, we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hey, this is Ken M.
Padawan J.
Coach Duffy.
From the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Every week, the ODPH is talking sports, movies, TV, comics, and more. It's always a parlay of topics on each episode. You can find the ODPH on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and wherever you find great podcasts, such as the one you're listening to right now. Don't forget to check out OchoDuroParlayHour.com, where you can find the links to all of the ODPH social media accounts, links to the bands whose music you hear each week on the show, hashtag 607 podcast info, and parlay points, our companion block section of the show. Thanks for listening to the ODPH. Now get back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
All right, guys, we are back, and once again, always support fellow podcasters from all around the world, so go out and check them out on their socials. To finish up the show, on a bit of a somber note, as we touched on at the beginning, we had two, I would say, generational talents, pass away within the last, 72 hours. The first was Terry Funk, which is something that I think it was our afternoon in Australia, where I saw that news broke, and I saw a hashtag, Terry Funk, trending, and I thought, oh, that's sometimes a good thing, sometimes not a good thing. And similar to when we see Ric Flair trending, sometimes you think it's a health concern. It's like, no, it's okay, it's just a birthday. But for Terry Funk, we lost a legend, and we've covered like lots of his matches on this podcast, and like we're talking, Sabu Terry Funk, born to be wired, barbed wired match for the ECW title. Our debut episode of Oh My God was Mick Foley, Terry Funk, IWA Japan, tournament final there for the trophy. We've covered his classics, with Ric Flair, Great American Bash, 1989, and we also some ECW action where it was Terry Funk and Arn Anderson, taking on, I think it was Sabu and someone else, but I remember it was just like one of those random like ECW Worlds Collide matches. But I know Terry Funk is someone you've always spoke passionately about, especially when we've covered things like King of the Ring 98, where he was there with Mick Foley. And again, Mick Foley, another big fan of yours. And yeah, what's your views on the recent passing of Terry Funk?
Terry Funk, I believe that man was going to live forever. How strong that man is gone, and how he is. I see him as wrestling's grandfather, and that's not a slap in the face. I see that as a turn of endearment, because that man could do fantastic things. I remember the first time I seen Terry Funk wasn't even in a wrestling match. He was actually in the Beyond the Mat movie. I had no idea who this man was. And the fellow who directed them and wrote the movie was a big Terry Funk fan. And for him to see, his idol growing up, he got to meet his idol, he got to work with his idol, and then you see this man. He was getting old. He was getting on his way, and he was injured. Just that very scene where they talk when he goes to his doctor. Will I be able to function normally? He's talking about his knees being there, saying, "You've got no cartilage on your knee. It's the fluid there you've got. How are you going to continue to function around? You're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. If we've got to get things done. We're going to get things done quickly." I think the saddest thing was too that he lost his partner, his wife. That was basically his backbone to everything he did. We saw her in the movie Beyond the Mat as well too. He spoke very highly of her with some of the shoot interviews he would do as well too. It was always very funny when you see her in the Beyond the Mat movie. She's like, got everything else. She goes, "Oh, do you need your iron?" The iron that he used to come out with, and the brand. Goes, no, the brand. And he goes, "No, I don't need that, darling. I don't need that at all." So just a lot of beautiful stuff that came out on social media after his passing, and people putting up some of their favorite matches. I went back and watched one of my favorite matches. Was he and Stan Hansen in 1983 in Japan. That one day we're going to have to sit down and watch it together, man, because it is just dudes beating the shit out of each other. Just it's such a brutal match, but you can tell that both of them, again, Stan Hansen couldn't see, his hand in front of his face. He used to wear these thick glasses, but you couldn't wrestle with the glasses off, so he take the glasses off. So legit, you could tell that, he probably thought Terry was a bit far away from him so he could duke him. But you could tell that he is legit fucking punching him in the face. And then you can look at Funk's face like, what do you do? Okay, if we're going to do that, I'm going to have to retaliate. And then they start beating on each other as well too. It was such a good match. there's some of the craziness that he did in WWE when he came out as Chainsaw Charlie. I'm Chainsaw Charlie with a bag of orange bag over his head and
Mm.
with powder for some reason, and he's wheeling a chainsaw. I see that type of stuff, and I was like, wow, what's going on here? This is nuts. He's teaming up with Cactus Jack. And then next thing you know, they're teaming up and being a tag team against the New Age Outlaws. And then this man goes, oh, no. You guys are now fighting each other. So they just
Mm.
ran the arena on a Raw show and just beat each other up. It is extremely sad that finally that one day I knew that was going to happen. I've heard many other podcasting people out there say I would like Terry Young Funk to live forever,
Mm.
because again he's just that type of vintage old school soldier that he wrestled and he was emotional too. Um, he spoke from the heart and how he acted. Um, I love some of his much later stuff when he was in the WWE, and he and Dean Ambrose. And there's that great
Yeah.
skit that came out, and he just one time Dean's like, I don't want to. He's sitting around, he's like, I don't know what to use for a hardcore match. What am I going to pull out? And then all of a sudden, just off screen, here comes Terry Funk and throws down a chainsaw. You can use a chainsaw if you want it. He goes, I'm not going to use what? You want me to use a chainsaw? Yeah, okay. Says, Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, whatever you call him. And it was just fun.
Mm.
So, yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, Terry, thank you so much for what you did for our entertainment. Again, I never realized until you said to us the other day when you said in our chat that we have covered a lot of his matches.
Mm.
And I was like, damn, that's, I went back and looked at myself. I went, you're not kidding.
Mm.
And I'd like to thank quite a lot of people who jumped into the stream that I did the other night where I was playing 2K23 and WWE 2K23, sorry. And I just looked up a card and of some of Terry Funk's greatest matches, and I just put him in the ring, and I did a few matches. I didn't do any audio over it. I was purely just sit back. If you want to sit back and watch it, it's still on my channel for a bit until the VOD gets deleted, whenever that might be. But it was just kind of fun to sit down and do like an hour and 30-minute stream watching Terry Funk kick ass and take names. So yeah, just thank you everyone who jumped in.
Yeah, like one of the first things that jumps out for me, and it was an idea that we had around covering matches, and I thought, there's one that we've never done, which was the one where he beat Raven, to become ECW World Champion, barely legal, 1997, April 1997. What co-main event? Terry Funk, Sandman, Steven Richards. Terry Funk with a moonsault on the top of the ladder. And then he goes on to beat Raven with a small cradle after countering the DDT and becomes ECW, World Heavyweight Champion. And then to cover that, Sabu match, we did the match at One Night Stand, Dreamer, Bueller, and Funk against Lita, Edge, and Foley. Like, he's produced a lot of classic things. But he lived a good life too. Like, you look at Beyond the Mat, even though that's like 20 years ago, he was a loving husband, a loving wife, and he would be a grandfather too. To think that, sometimes we think people are invincible and they can live forever. But, he was one of those guys where he's provided so much entertainment, to us as fans, for people personal in the wrestling ring. And it's great to see, WWE acknowledge him. Because I think with the passing of Bray Wyatt too, not that I think people forgot about Terry, but they made them equally, responsible by having, even on SmackDown, having both people there and talking about them. Even though Terry was gone from WWE for a long time, he produced a lot of memories. And to have Cody come out and cut the promo too and talk about the hard cowboys in wrestling and talk about his stuff with his dad, I think it was a great reflection on him. And I think with that, we'll talk about the thing that I woke up to and you would have woke up to, as well on Friday morning, I think it was again, another hashtag, Bray Wyatt. Why is this hashtag? That's always he making his return, because I was, again, waiting. This Bray Wyatt return, the Lashley feud didn't really finish. It kind of was starting and then didn't go anywhere. And next thing you know, the first thing I see on my feed is the @Triple H and the post, coming off saying that he had spoken to, Wyndham's father, and he had passed away. And I remember sharing it in our chat, and all of us were like, this can't be real. Like, what? This is Bray Wyatt. This guy's 36 years old. He's in between, like, he's younger than you and I. Like, I'm 37, you're 39. And here's a guy, a father of 4 kids, all under 10, and just gone away like that.
This one hurt a lot. I remember getting it. I remember seeing your message in our group chat, but I actually had a work colleague just message me and saying, "Have you seen this?" And I looked at it and I just went, "That can't be real. Maybe it's a gimmick thing. Maybe they're like, he's done it's one of those clickbait things, but it was actually legit real." I know if we've covered a few Bray Wyatt matches on this show, and I'm extremely humble when it came to watching his matches. I loved watching his stuff. I loved seeing what he did, and it was when he started when the Bray Wyatt character was first introduced. It was just fun to see. He looked like a dude like me. He was a heavy set dude like Kevin Owens. He's a heavy set fella, and he was doing fantastic wrestling maneuvers. He was jumping off, doing stuff, and but then when he resurfaced and came back as the Fiend, I was intrigued. It made me I used to get goosebumps when everything would shut down, and it was a legit scary feeling. I would imagine what it was like being a kid when the Undertaker first came onto the television with the big tie, the hat, the gloves, and just hearing that eerie music and everything going dark, and you're like, he's this giant man coming down to the ring. He's like, they're calling him the Dead Man. He's part zombie. There was pretty much all that stuff that was going on with him, but Bray just felt like a bit of a realism. Like this is like a real horror movie come to life. And just simply just wearing the mask and holding Wyndham's head as an as a lantern. And he just ran with it, and it was fun, and you got chills, and you wanted to. And I loved it because all the little antics that was going on when he first made his return was on SmackDown, and it would just be right in the middle of someone doing an interview or a promo or something in the back, and then something would flash on the screen, and you're like, what just happened there? And there was the stuff that was going on with Alexa Bliss, like she was seeing Bray, she was seeing the Fiend in her head. He wasn't really there the whole time, so they were trying to get more and more stuff happening there. I totally understand now, because I was wondering, going, what is going on? Why did they stop all this? Did they have? They didn't know what to do with the character. I think Hunter did some great stuff. I even know that I believe it was Bruce Pritchard who did a lot of stuff alongside with Wyndham to actually create this Fiend character. It's very similar to what he did with The Undertaker way back in the day. But then to actually understand what was one of the main reasons why he wasn't able to portray this character on TV, because he was ill. And you can understand the privacy of that. The world doesn't need to know what's going on in your life. It's totally understandable. Just and it just came as a shock. Didn't even think of that. I mean, just the day before, we lost Terry Funk. We lost the grandfather of wrestling. It hurt. Losing Bray hurt a lot more, because I liked his style. I liked him when he was Husky Harris. Then when he came over and did Follow the Buzzards in NXT, then he went to the main roster. He brought Luke Harper. He brought Eric Redbeard, all those guys, and they brought Strowman along. That's where he came along. That was kind of fun. And then Bray sort of disappeared, and then they introduced the Fiend. Then the Fiend got burnt, and they burned him alive, and they killed that character off. He had a WrestleMania match against Randy Orton, and then that stopped.
Mm.
And then they brought him back, and he was apologetic and said, "I am so glad to be here with everybody. I am so incredibly happy." And then he was fighting his own demons with Uncle Howdy, and all the other Fiend was like, "Let me in, let me be that character again." It took me back to like what Foley would do with the Three Faces of Foley. He had that type of style, and that's again, I love Mick Foley because I looked at Bray's type of style. He was taking bits and pieces from all around of his favorite wrestlers. And then I looked at it too. It was like, he's doing some of my favorite wrestling type of stuff.
Mm.
This is fun to see. But yeah, it's just it was a major shock. My wishes go out to his family. I know that he's the uproar of positivity and stories and how people have had experiences with him. Some of the beautiful stories that have come out, and everyone has spoken about how they like thank Wyndham for all the love they've received and positivity. And so, yeah, it's just. I shed a couple of tears yesterday. I found a nice little quiet place. I got in the car when I finished off my day and just punched the wheel of my car and blubbered out and got it all out of my system before I came home. And my missus already knew immediately that, because again, when the Fiend character was first introduced, I was showing her some of the clips on there. And when we learned that he passed, I said to her, she was like, "Is that real?" I went, "Unfortunately, it is real." But on a positive note, I can just saying that he is one of my favorite wrestlers, and he will be deeply missed, but he will not be forgotten because his legacy is going to live forever.
Mm. I don't think I can say it any better. I think, you recapped his career from, the highs and lows of the character, of times of confusion. We didn't know where it was going. The Goldberg matchup and the whole thing at WrestleMania opening the show to lose to Orton, it just been really quick. Like, there were highs and lows of that storyline. But when I think of like my favorite Bray Wyatt moment, it was Elimination Chamber 2017, winning the WWE Championship, even though it was only a month reign, for him to beat AJ Styles in the main event and become, the WWE champion. That was just an awesome moment because he's like, this is the era of Wyatt. This is my time to take over WWE. And I know it was transitional to eventually get Orton, but then to have, the Fiend have his series of matches with Seth Rollins, and some of them make you scratch your head with the endings with giant mallets and, Halloween style crown jewel matches for the Universal title. And then to have Tom Salvini, design that really expensive Fiend championship belt. Like, these are things that are going to be purchased forever. People can always display them and buy them. They're always going to be a presence there. And what I felt with Bray's character, and it's like an artist with a painting. Whenever he was talking, he was painting a picture. And it's a massive portrait the way he would do it. Because if you look at his character, he was talking about this character back in FCW. Like when he was there with Bo Dallas and running around there, talking about the man in the woods, he was teasing this all the way back then. He just needed more eyes on him to put more paint onto that brush and paint that canvas. So I think, you've recapped it great. There's nothing more that I can add. That he was a star. He's a generational talent. I don't see anyone trying to fill the shoes of the Fiend. I think the Uncle Howdy thing will close now. And to see how SmackDown handled that was a great show. The Lantern, the 10-bell salute, the fans, and even to have that main event of the Fiend's first opponent, Finn, taken on the Fiend's last opponent in LA Knight. And it was almost putting the final full stop on that. And, I think as communities do, wrestling community, they band together, they support one another. It does make you sit and reflect on your own life and how quickly things can occur. It makes you appreciate the moments that you have. And I think I tell you this all the time, that you've come on this journey with me for 7 years. We were doing this show when our kids were not even born or even just like newborn babies. So I appreciate what you do in spending your nights with me, because anything can happen in this world. So I value our conversations. Even today, like we've spent close to 7 or 8 hours together across the day, driving all across Melbourne and then doing the podcast. But you've stuck in there, and I appreciate you. I love you for what you do. So I think it's just a chance for us to reflect. And yeah, I think any closing comments on this part of the show?
I don't want to say this. This is meant to be a celebration. What we're talking about here, and I appreciate what you just said there. Am I going to return favor? Maybe. Thank you very much. That's how I return favor. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That means more than you saying it. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm gonna. It feels uncomfortable even talking about it, but yeah. Yes. Yeah, it just shows that your future's not really written yet, but love the ones you love, hold your family close, enjoy the times we have, and just keep going strong and keep doing what you do best.
Yeah. All right, guys, I think we're at the closing hours. We're nearly up to 2 hours on the podcast episode. Before we finish up, we just want to send a couple of thank yous once again to Nick and Keith from the Universal Wrestling Podcast. Thank you for your support. Also for hosting us also on the Universal Wrestling Podcast Facebook. I think it's Facebook, also on their website and also on their YouTube. Thank you guys very much for all your support. We also want to give a special shout out also there to the bloodlinenetwork.com. Thank you to all members of the Bloodline who have been in the chat tonight, from Cage My IQ to Devin to Nick. Thank you guys for all your support. Spinbuster from Director's Cut jumping in, Courtney as well. This podcast is growing, and thank you guys for all your support in, even it's just trending about us or posting or quote treating us. Thank you guys for all your support. And if you haven't checked them out, guys, some great, fantastic content on the website. As I said, articles, podcasts, audio and video formats. And they're also doing some pretty great watch-alongs. So if you like AEW and WWE, they do many watch-alongs of those events as well. Just a quick shout out to our affiliates. We've got members of Rogue Energy, Luxy, Triumph Chairs, Player One Coffee, and Clinch Gaming. You can check out our header on Twitter or on X to actually see those promotional discounts, to get you some discounts on, gaming products, chairs, grips, coffee, and also energy drinks. Alan, where can people find you?
You can find me at right down there. That's at Alan Ross 84 at TBK. That's my X or my Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. Yeah, I'm on there. Good for a follow. Follow me, I'll follow you back. If you're part of the podcasting world, I'm always good to hear other people's opinions and stuff like that. Follow me on. I've already hoard it before, but I'm gonna hoard it again. That's the TTV Roscoe Bosco 84, my Twitch channel. Thank you again for many people who've been dropping into my streams lately and checking out the VODs. I really appreciate it. I'm thinking about going back and playing some more Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So if people want to jump in and watch me play a game from many, many moons ago, then I thought I was pretty hot shit back then. So if I'm going to be hot shit now, I'll see where to go. I don't know what that saying is. That's a horrible saying. I'm thinking the stuff that comes out of my face sometimes, I just go, what the fuck? You poor people that have to listen to us Australians go, why the fuck is she talking about hot shit? So anyway,
why would hot shit be a good thing? Like, why would that suddenly be good? Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, you can check me out at Thom at Mr_MMA Action. Don't really use it, but always there. If you want to send me a DM, have a bit of a chat, always available. But mainly the best way to get onto us is both on Instagram on Alan's side, which is the BroKast Podcast, and Twitter, which is on my side at the BroKast, TheBrokast. In terms of what's next, we are cracking open the TBK Vault once again. We're going to be putting up the Mankind versus Shawn Michaels match, which was from WWF In Your House Mind Games that we covered last year. This episode will be coming out on Tuesday, the 12th of September of next month. Classic matchup. Any comments and memories from this one, El?
this is an instant classic right there of Mr. Shawn Michaels and Mankind. Um, it's a good episode. It shows that it's got one of the best interviews before the match where Shawn Michaels gets a little bit lost and doesn't know what he's talking about, which is always a bit of fondness to it. But then also just to have two ring generals of Shawn Michaels and Mankind in the ring, pounding it out. It's good.
No, it's a great one, guys. And as Alan said, it is one of the most awkward, confusing promos. And even HBK walks off disappointed, like, I don't even know what I was saying. So, yeah. And we also will be doing another show at the end of the month. So check out our Twitter in regards to what that show will be. But in closing, as we say each and every episode, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or
Good night.